Alright, here we go. Main event. Alistair the Demolition Man Overeem facing Fabricio Cavallo. I hope I said that right. Werdum. Now, like I just stated in the previous video, this is going to be really a crossroads fight for both competitors. Fabricio Werdum has found new motivation in MMA. He wants to be a world champion, and he's looking to pull off another stunning upset in 2011. He's facing a man that he's all too familiar with, a man that he has actually beaten, as I said before, in Pride by submission, ironically. So Werdum is going to have confidence out the anus coming in, and Alistair Overeem is going to want to look to make a gigantic statement in this fight, to prove to the MMA world that he is indeed a top heavyweight. And I believe that this is actually kind of like a must-win for Overeem in a way, because if Overeem somehow does lose to Fabricio Werdum again, then, you know, it's kind of like, where do you put him? You know, like, does he even deserve to wear the Strikeforce Heavyweight Championship? You know, does winning K1 mean anything? So this is basically an all or nothing fight for Alistair Overeem. So he really needs to come out and really needs to put on a strong yet dominant performance, if at all possible. But we all know fighting Fabricio Werdum is anything but easy. Just ask Fedor. But anyway, let's get into the match. Now, we know Fabricio Werdum is an accomplished BJJ world champion, black belt level. So if he knows that a guy is going to be dumb enough to leap into his guard and basically drown in the deep water, then he's going to take advantage of it. As we all saw in his previous fight with Fedor, Fedor got overconfident. He jumped into Fabricio Werdum's guard, which is as dangerous as they come, and he ended up getting submitted, which really, really surprised me, and I think the rest of the world as well. So I think that Alistair Overeem watched that fight, and I think he knows how dangerous Fabricio Werdum's guard is, and I think he knows that if he does have Fabricio Werdum hurt, not to just, you know, rush completely to finish him off. I think he's going to take his time. I think he's going to be a lot more methodical and a lot more calculating this time around, because both guys have, you know, drastically evolved since Pride. And that's back when, you know, Alistair Overeem looked like an average man just walking the street. But it's like now the guy looks like a freaking bodybuilder. It looks like he should be in the Arnold Classic, or should have been in the Arnold Classic last week. I mean, this guy is just, man, this guy is just like freakishly large now. And it's not, you know, steroids or anything like that. You know, it's pure 100% muscle. And ever since developing, you know, this reincarnated form, you know, he's looked a lot stronger. His strikes have become a lot more powerful, and he's been knocking out guys, you know, from pillar to post. And you know that's what he's going to want to do with Fabricio Werdum. The question is, though, for Alistair Overeem, is will his emotions come into play with this fight? Because we know that Alistair Overeem is, you know, he's a pretty composed guy, you know, real calm, you know, a very easygoing guy. But you know that that 2006 match with Werdum is going to be floating in his mind leading up to the day of the fight. And you know he's going to want to get his hands on Fabricio Werdum as soon as possible. So, you know, I'm just wondering, you know, will the emotions of him already lost to this man uh, play a part in this fight? I mean, who knows? It probably won't. I'm hoping it won't, because I would like to see Overeem win this fight just to prove to the world that he does belong in the elite ranking, you know, with Cain Velasquez and Junior Dos Santos, you know. So, yeah. So hopefully, you know, Overeem will be 100% focused for this fight, and maybe he can, you know, put on a dominant performance here and stake his claim, you know, at the top of the heavyweight division. Now, as for Fabricio Werdum, he's trying to shock the world again and move on to face Antonio Bigfoot Silva, who just came off a shocking upset of his own by beating Fedor Emelianenko. So, as far as the strategy for both men, I think what Fabricio Werdum is going to want to do is he's going to want to get into the clinch with Werdum, and I think he's going to want to pin him up against the cage and, you know, basically employ some strikes, or, you know, basically try to use his size and his weight on Overeem to exhaust him and eventually get this fight to the ground, either by pulling guard or just basically by yanking Overeem down on the mat and looking to use his jiu-jitsu skill. Now, the only problem with that is that Overeem is ridiculously strong and ridiculously tough to take down. So if that doesn't work for Werdum, how else is he going to get the fight to the ground? You know, I don't know how he's going to be able to pull guard, you know, because, like I said, Overeem is just chiseled, you know, from, you know, his chest to his calves. I mean, everything, you know, is just chiseled on this man. So if Werdum can't wear him down against the cage, then what other possible way is he going to have to get this fight down? Unless, you know, it's Fedor Emelianenko 2.0 and Overeem just comes out and hurts him from the get-go and, you know, sends him tumbling, Werdum I'm talking about, and does the dumb thing and jump into his guard, and then Werdum ends up catching him. That's the only way I could really see him winning this fight. I mean, Werdum could have a chance standing up. I'm not going to completely count him out because he does train at King's MMA with Rafael Cordero, Vanderlei Silva's old trainer, and, you know, a guy who has made the careers of guys like Anderson Silva and Shogun Rua, and the list goes on and on. So maybe, you know, he could possibly, you know, at least get a chance to test his striking with Overeem, if that's even possible, and possibly get Overeem to commit and, you know, maybe open or close the distance, I should say, and maybe he could, you know, pull guard from there. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how that's going to work. If Fabricio Werdum cannot you know, get this fight down to the mat from the cage, then I don't know what other possible way he's going to be able to take this guy down. And give Overeem credit, he has good takedown defense. And on top of that, has some underrated grappling skill as well. So, I don't know. So, we'll see. We will definitely see. And another interesting point about this fight is that Overeem's never really been out of the first round, the first or the second round. So maybe if Werdum can take him into the third round and test his conditioning to see what he has, maybe that could work in Werdum's favor. I don't know. But Werdum does have a chance of winning this fight. He has a great chance of winning this fight, but only if he can get the fight to the mat. If he cannot get the fight to the mat, I'm afraid it's going to be, you know, a short night for Fabricio. So I don't know how he's going to do it, but he needs to find a way. But what I think is going to end up happening is I think that Fabricio Werdum is going to get frustrated in this fight, not being able to outmuscle and, you know, just pull Overeem down. And I think he's going to tire himself out. And I could just see Overeem just catching him with the knee to the body that he's known for, and maybe one to the face, wobbling Werdum, and possibly letting his hands go in the process, you know, catching him with a couple of combinations, and then eventually just catching him with an overhand right and basically knocking him cold to the canvas, and Overeem walks away the winner. I'm going to say it's going to happen in the third round, or possibly maybe late second. So I'm going to pit late second, early third round KO Alistair Overeem, and he's going to move on to the next round to face Antonio Silva, and Josh Barnett will move on to the next round to face Sergey Kharitonov. That is going to be a war. That is going to be a barn burner, definitely. If that fight happens, if Brett Rogers doesn't score like that one huge knockout and put Josh Barnett away, I would love to see a fight between Kharitonov and Barnett. I think that'd be awesome. And I think Overeem versus Silva is a very interesting fight as well. You know, that is if Fabricio Werdum does not find a miracle and submit Overeem and just put him out of the tournament completely. But I'm going to go with Overeem and Barnett to win their respective Grand Prix matchups. But overall, I think it's going to be a spectacular event. I know Dallas is going to be rocking, you know, from the jump. You know, the Mavericks just won the NBA championship, so they're going to be jacked up, most definitely. I wouldn't even be surprised to see some of the Dallas Maverick players at the event. So, I mean, it's going to be a good night. I believe so. And the best part for me about watching this event, I'm going to be out of town. So I'm going to be chilling in the hotel room, just living it up, relaxing, kicking my feet up, you know, going out on the beach, you know, maybe talking to some honey, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. But no, it's gonna be an awesome card, man. So you guys tune in 10 o'clock showtime. If you got it, if you don't have it, call it and get it, because you don't want to miss it, for real. This is going to be the Strike Force event to watch, for sure. But until then, deuces.